Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. This is my granny era. Today I'm going to be doing the Valentine's Day tag. This tag was created by Joe Reed's Books and I was tagged by Daniela at Uncommon Reader. So Valentine's Day is in just a couple of days. On Friday, I guess it is. Today's Tuesday, so I better load this tonight. There are 7 prompts. The 7th prompt is to tag others. I probably won't tag anybody specifically since we are so close, but if you want to do this tag, just do it real quick and make sure and tag me so I can go and watch what you put up. All right, these prompts all have to do with romance, kinda. So let's go in. Number 1, favorite couple ever. You want to have their relationship. Honestly, guys, I have a really great relationship. So to kind of, wish that it was like somebody else's, no. Me and my husband have an awesome story. We met in high school when we were 14 years old. We met at the lunch table, and then he went off to another school for a few years, came back at the end of the junior year, and we've been together ever since. We got married when I was 18, he was 19, and so that was almost 27 years ago, and we've been happy and blissful and all the stuff. When I think about who we're like, though, it's been different over the years. Right now, we are sort of entering the Mr. and Mrs. Bennet stage, where he puts up with my poor nerves and I have something to rant about, or at least be very highly opinionated about pretty much most days, several times a day, pretty much anytime we talk. And he just puts up with my poor nerves. I've never seen Mr. and Mrs. Bennet as a couple that were very serious about their, digs at each other. I've always seen Mr. Bennet as a sweet man who put up with a house full of women, and Mrs. Bennet as somebody who knew how much she was pampered and loved and just took advantage of it. And that's pretty much how my life is. And my husband would say the same thing. So I can't really think of a relationship that I'd want to have, but I think that as we are entering into this era of our lives where most of our kids are adults and we're starting to have grandkids and all that, yeah, we're becoming the good side of the Bennets for sure. I guess I should clarify, that's from Pride and Prejudice. That's the parents of the main character in that story, if you're not familiar. All right, number 2, relationship that never happened. So you wanted them to get together, but they never did. Now, just right off the top of my head, that is Joe and Laurie from Little Women. I have always thought that Joe and Laurie should have been together. I think pretty much everybody has thought that until you get to the very end and Mr. Bear, and she loves Mr. Bear so much and he's so good to her. And then you're like, okay, fine. But you're never okay with Laurie and Amy. Like I've never, at least for me, I've never been okay with Laurie and Amy until the newest film adaptation came out, the one that has Saoirse Ronan in it. I can't remember who plays Amy. Is it Timothy Chalamet for Laurie? I'm so bad. But anyway, that Amy and Laurie, yes, that one works. I am totally rooting for Amy at that point. That was such a great adaptation, the way that they did that Amy and Laurie line for sure. So I'm okay with it if it can go that way. But in the book, no, Amy is a little spoiled snot and I never, ever, ever, ever end up liking her. And I'm so sad for Laurie through the whole thing. But I do give a little credit to Mr. Bear. And what really actually, it's the films that do it for me, right? The one that has Winona Ryder and her Mr. Bear. I just love that one so much. All right, moving on. Number 3, worst relationship. A couple that you wanted to break up because the character was awful or deceitful or abusive or whatever. This is hands down Pamela and Mr. B from Pamela by Samuel Richardson. That book is horrific. Don't read it. Do not read it. Just don't. Don't even. Just Samuel Richardson, cross him off your list. Not worth it. The only reason that anybody would ever subject themselves to Samuel Richardson is to see the things that influenced Jane Austen. All you got to know is it influenced her. Move on. Just move on. Just run for your life. That story is so just gross and abusive and yucky, and the decision that Pamela makes at the end, no, Mr. B, okay. Moving on, number 4, your favorite love triangle. So I don't know that this is actually my favorite. Actually, this is kind of a rant too. I'll rant a little longer in more detail about this one. So in Sense and Sensibility, the love triangle that has bothered me, like in fact, maybe the worst love triangle in all of literature that I've read anyway, is Lucy and Edward and Eleanor. Eleanor annoys me with her naivety and her piousness to no end. It just annoys the snot out of me. But learning that Edward is already engaged to Lucy, and then just figuring, well, there must be some reason why good Edward would still flirt with me and act like he loves me, even though he's engaged to someone else. Poor Edward. She convinces himself that he is the man of the utmost integrity, and he's just got himself in a little bind here. Later, when they're all three together, like Edward's feelings, that's what she's sympathetic to. They're just so important that we care for Edward and his feelings. Edward is the ultimate wussy player, right? He's engaged to Lucy for whatever reason, no matter whether or not he wants to be there. Like, I don't see this whole like chivalrous thing about staying engaged to someone but flirting with someone else. If he was truly chivalrous, and even if he didn't love Lucy, he was going to stay with her because that's the promise he made, then he shouldn't have been flirting with Eleanor. He should not have made one move to make that woman think that he was interested in her. He's totally a player. He does not deserve all of the sympathy. No. Run for your life, Eleanor. What is wrong with you? Like, why did he even show Eleanor affection in the first place? And then to not even tell her about Lucy? Yeah, that is the worst love triangle ever. And I have no sympathy for Edward, of course, but I have no sympathy for Eleanor either, because she really acts like a major wussy moron. And Lucy, I don't know, Lucy's just kind of funny. And then Lucy goes on to like do her own thing anyway, right? So I'm kind of rooting for her really when it comes down to it. All right, number 5, your favorite tragic love story. Like Romeo and Juliet, a couple whose relationship was cut tragically short. Oh, the story that comes immediately to mind is called Emily's Ghost by Denise Giardina. I talk about this book a lot. I need to read it again. But this is a fictional tale. I have heard that this is the book that the movie, like the newest Emily Bronte movie, was based on. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. But in this book, it's a fictional tale of Emily Bronte and her father's kind of like curate in training, William Wentworth. No, sorry, I'm in Jane Austen. William Waitman. He comes to be like the younger, helper to her father, who's the curate of the village church or whatever. And so he comes to be like in training, but also to do the work that Patrick Bronte is just not able to do because, he's getting older, whatever. And so anyway, Emily and William fall in love. And it is such a just heartbreaking but beautiful story. The Emily that this author writes is exactly the Emily that I imagine. And just how the story goes down is exactly how I would imagine it would go down. It is heartbreaking at the end. And Charlotte, at the very end, does something pretty cruel and Karen-ish when I'm like, yes, all of my bad feelings against Charlotte Bronte are vindicated right there in that book because this author didn't like her either. I don't like Charlotte Bronte. I think that she was just, the way that she wrote about her sisters and just, I think she was just kind of a little pretentious herself. But anyway, the author kind of gives a little dig to Charlotte there at the end, and I'm like, yes. But anyway, back to the tragic part of it. If I tell you what happens, right, there'll be spoilers, but it is tragic. And it's just a story that you wish were true. Even the tragic part, like, not that, we don't wish tragedy, but just even if if the tragic part would have to happen in order for the rest of the story to happen, you just wish it was true. But there's not a shred of evidence. There is just no evidence that Emily Bronte and this man actually had a relationship. But I sure wish there was. All right, and then number 6 is, what book would you choose to be your Valentine? So I was just like, okay, what book has really spoke to my soul lately and just, gave me all of the feels I wanted to feel. And that would be The Winter Ghost by Kate Moss. I talked to you guys about this a little bit ago. It is a great winter story with a great atmosphere. There's a little mystery. There's a little, I don't know, just something in the air sort of a thing. It's not super ghosty. It's historical. And you learn about a period of history that's not, super talked about. And it's just this little simple story with just a couple of scenes and just a couple of characters. And I loved it so much. I read it in December. It ticked all of the boxes for like atmosphere and time and coziness and fantastical everything. It was perfect. But if it was like an obligatory guilt sort of Valentine that you just like I don't really want to go to the Valentine's dance with him, but he asked me and he did have chocolates sent to the school. And so I guess I better go, even though I really want to go with the other guy. Like if it was that kind of a Valentine, not that I've had anything like that ever happen to me before, where I was feeling obligated, I would pick Frankenstein because I do owe Frankenstein a big apology. Frankenstein is not as bad as I thought it was, especially after slogging through 600 pages of The Last Man that she wrote. Frankenstein is a total lovely gem compared to that story. But really, it's not that bad. And I have been ranting on here about Frankenstein for quite a while. So Mary Shelley, I publicly apologize to you. And please forgive me for my ranting about your lovely book, Frankenstein. All right, number 7 is to tag other people. Like I said, I'm not going to tag anybody since Valentine's Day is just a couple days away. But if you want to do this tag me so I can come and hear all of your answers. Thank you, Daniela, for tagging me. Hope everybody is having a great day. Have a fun Valentine's Day. I will see you soon. Bye.